Hello guys, welcome to the video. My name is Crypt and we're gonna actually continue our series, okay? This is part 2 of this series in making our recoil application, okay? Our advanced recoil application. So on the last episode, we did our imports, right? So we have our imports over here, right? We have our standard library imports. We have our GUI imports, which again, GUI stands for graphical user interface. I'm actually gonna type over here, GUI stands for graphical user interface, which is everything you can see is an interface, right? And here we have our external libraries, okay, which are libraries that you actually need to install. So libraries are right here. So we have over here keyboard, right, mouse, PyInput, Win32 API, and PyAutoGui. Now, of course, these libraries are gray right now because we're not using them. But if I actually typed keyboard over here, you guys are gonna notice that it's gonna get, you see the color. So the reason why it's grayed out over here is because we are not using it, okay? So before we actually continue, you guys can see right there on the screen what we're actually gonna have finished by today. Okay, so that's what we're gonna try to do. Okay, we're gonna do that same application that you guys are looking at. Okay, make sure you're following along, and of course you can change things. Okay, as time goes on. So the first thing you can change is this tutorial recoil. You do not have to have tutorial recoil here. You can change this to whatever name you want, such as Illucity or whatever. Okay. All right. Now what we're gonna do is very simple. We're gonna create another class. I'm gonna type this main body, and we're gonna inherit from frame. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna define init. Again, as you guys know, init is how you initialize your class. Okay, it's a thunder method. Okay, we're gonna do args, key args, and we're gonna do super dot init args and key arguments. All right, cool. So this is gonna be a frame. So what we're gonna do is this is the main application. This over here is the main application, right? Inside the main applications, you wanna have containers. Inside of these containers, you wanna have different things such as a checkbox and different things, right? Label and whatever, right? So that you can easily customize them, right? All right. So let's go ahead now and create everything we need to create. So the first thing I'm gonna create here is I'm just gonna create a little label. Okay, just so you guys can see how it looks like. So I'm actually gonna type over here toggles label, okay? LBL stands for label, and I'm gonna type ttk.label self. We want to put the label into self, okay, which is into this frame, and we want to do the following. You want to do text equals to uh, toggles, and then over here we're gonna do font, usual font, okay, and 17. Now, usual font in this case, you want to create this variable at the top over here in global variables. Usual font is gonna be equals to whatever you want the font to be. I like the font Helvetica, I think that's the name of it. I really like that font, so that's the font I'm gonna utilize. But you can have Arial here, okay, and whatever. All right, cool. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grid it. So toggles, grid, row. Uh, so this is a frame. Inside of a frame, you can have different ways of actually laying stuff out. You can lay stuff out by using pack. You can lay stuff out by using place, and you can lay stuff out by using grid. There's a picture on the screen that kind of shows you guys what that means, the relation between each one of them. I personally like to use grid, and that's just my personal preference. You don't have to use grid. You can choose whatever other one you want. Grid is just easier, in my opinion, and it's gonna be easier for you to follow this video along. After you finish following this tutorial series, then you can go ahead and change it up. But for now, I recommend that you do what I'm doing, which is using grid. Row 1, column 0, and let's just do sticky to the west. So what this is gonna do is it's gonna place, right? This is a grid. Imagine a grid, right? This is gonna place toggles label into row 0 and the column 0. So it's gonna be the first of everything, right? Think of an Excel sheet, right? All right, so let's see how this looks like. All right, so as you guys can see, I executed it, and as you guys can see, there's no difference. Although we made this new frame, there's no difference, and that's okay. You guys cannot even see the new label, right? You guys cannot see the label in here. That's okay. That's because we have not actually created the frame itself. We have created a class, right? But we haven't put it inside of our main body, which is this, inside of our interface, right? So let's do that right now. All right, so now what we need to do, guys, as you guys saw, you guys couldn't see the toggles. You guys couldn't see this label, right? So it's very simple. So we need a label, by the way, a label is just a text, okay? What we need to do is very simple. So we need to actually put main body inside of the interface. To do that, all you need to do is, this is a class, right? So we need to create an object. So let's actually create an object of this class. Main body equals to main body. So what we did here is we created an object, main body, right? Self.main body, so that we can reference it later on. Okay, that's why it has a self dot. Okay, main body, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna type self in here. This way we can put the frame inside of this interface. Okay, and then now if you guys run this, nothing's gonna happen yet. All you need to do now is place the frame inside of the container, because this is a big container. The interface is a big container. Okay, so for example, you had the label, right? The label needs to be placed inside of the frame, and now the frame needs to be placed inside of the actual interface. Let's do that right now. Let's do self.main body. Oh, I don't know what. Okay, self.main body grid row equals 0 and column equals 0, and then let's actually execute it. And there you go. Let me just. There you go. As you guys can see, that's how it looks like. Okay. Now you guys notice something very interesting. When I execute this application, that's how you execute it. Like, that's because we didn't actually tell the interface how big it should be, right? So that means that, it's just gonna change its size based on whatever is in here, right? So let's execute it one more time. There you go. You guys can see over there on top left that's how you execute. That's the size of it. Okay. So what we need to do is very simple. I believe self.geom. Yeah, self.geometry is what you want to use, and then you actually pass in the geometry here. Yeah, you're gonna pass in. So let me see set geometry on the form. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to actually type in like a string, and you want to type on the geometry. So it's gonna be, I believe it's width times height. And let's try that out. There you go. So that's how it looks like, right? You can still resize it, right? But that's now how it looks like. Now it's gonna execute on that size. Okay, nice. All right, so that's how it looks like, guys. Now we can do most of our changes in the main body. Now, okay? Of course, we're still gonna have to go back to the interface later on for more stuff, but for now, let's just make most of our changes in the main body. So the first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna actually create a toggle. So toggle is something that you can turn on and off, like a light, right? A light is a toggle. You turn the light on, or you turn the light off. Let's create a checkbox. So let's do recoil checkbox. Okay, equals to, this is just a variable. You can name this whatever you want. I recommend naming it something that you're gonna remember. Self dot require checkbox. The reason why I put self here is because we're gonna have to reference it later on. Okay, we're gonna have to remember this. TTK, is it TTK or TK? TK check button. Okay, self. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a variable. So variable equals to self dot recoil bool var. Okay, and I'm gonna explain to you guys what I mean by this just a little bit. Hold on, let me just separate this. Okay. There you go. I'm just separating it so it looks a little more neat. Nice. Oh, okay, nice. All right. So command is gonna be self dot let me see, recoil bool check. Okay. So let me explain to you guys real quick what this means. So first of all, this first parameter over here, right? By the way, we just separated it, put everything in different lines. This is two parameters. The same thing as if I typed everything here. Self, variable, there's no difference. I separated in different lines so that it doesn't extend too much to the left, to the right. All right, so self is what we're gonna place. So we're gonna place inside of this frame. That's self. Okay. Variable is basically every single time we check the button, we need to keep track of that. You need to keep track of that based on a variable. So let's actually create the variable right now. Self.recoil bool var equals tk int var. So every single time we make any change to checkbox, right, this variable is going to change from 1 to 0, 1 to 0. So it's if it's 1, that means the recoilable is on. If it's 0, it's off. And then this is going to be a method that we're going to create. A method is a function, but we call it method when it's inside of a class. So this is going to be a method that we're going to create that will check for that. Okay. So basically, every single time somebody presses this button, right, you're going to click on it, and then it's going to run this command, which is going to be a method. The method is going to check the state of the button, and it's going to check the state of this variable over here. And if the state is 1, it's going to turn on the recoilable. So before we actually proceed, let's go over here to the top, and let's actually define another global variable. So these are going to be global variables. Global variables. And the global variable over here is going to be recoil bool equals true false. So initially the recoil is going to be off. Okay, so let's do that. I think that's good. So let's go ahead and create our method so you guys can see how this looks like. Def. Okay. We need to name it the same thing as this. Let's just copy that. Self. And we need to actually pass in a parameter. The parameter is going to be the variable. It's going to automatically be passed. Not the variable, it's going to be actually the state of this. So let's do that. So um let's pass var int, so we know it's an integer. And let's do if var int dot get, and then we do recoil bool equals to true, else recoil bool equals to false. And then we need to do global recoil bool because recoil bool is a global variable. Okay. And basically what this is going to do is the following. So let me just put a little space right there. This is going to check the following. If when you check the box, it's going to run this function. The function is going to check if var int, right, which is going to be the the variable. It's going to check if it's on. It's going to check if it's 1. If it is 1, the recoilable is true. If it's not 1, the recoilable is false. I believe it's 1, but 1 is the same thing as true. So 1 and true are the same thing. Okay, and then 0, of course, the same thing as false in Python. Okay. All right. So let's check if it's working. Let's do a print statement right here. Print recoilable. So basically, after it does everything, it's gonna print to us what the state of recoilable is. State. All right. Let's actually execute this. And we are very smart. We actually we forgot to grid our check button. Let's do that right now. Self.recoil checkbox grid. It's gonna be a row. So this one is row 0. So this one is gonna be row 1, column 0. Sticky to the west. Sticky is where it's gonna be sticky towards, where it's gonna be like close to. So it's gonna be to the west. Alright, so that's how it looks like. You guys can see the check button right here, right? Right there. And I got an arrow, missing all required argument. Alright, so I forgot something that we need to actually do. We need to do lambda over here, okay? And we actually need to pass in the actual variable. I forgot about that. I actually said it. I was explaining to you guys what this does, and I didn't even notice. So basically, this needs to actually, so the command is gonna take in the variable. So every single time we do anything, it's gonna call in this function, this anonymous function, right? And it's actually gonna pass in this variable too, right? The variable that's over here is gonna pass in that into the function. So I got an error earlier that was talking about that, right? So I just fixed the error right here. Okay, so make sure you include this lambda self.recoilable check, which is the name of the method, and the actual variable we're passing into the parameter over here. This should work now. Okay, it is. So as you guys can see over there on the bottom left, it's saying state true and state false. So I'm gonna, now it's false, right? And now it's true. Now it's false and now it's true, which means that the recoilable is changing. So you guys can see right there, recoilable is actually changing as appropriate. Very good. So okay, let me take this print statement out. So now we have that. So now it's very simple now. What we need to do now is let's make this work. So we have these two classes, which is an interface and main body. Let's actually create another class or method or function. We don't need to actually make a class for this. You can make a class recoil, which is gonna handle all of the recoil things, but you don't really need it. let's just do a function. So def and it's gonna be, I'm gonna name it recoil loop. So basically what this is gonna be, this is gonna be a thread, by the way, just letting everybody know this is gonna be a thread. So if you wanted to make this a class, you can just do the following. You can just do the following. You can just do that. If you wanted to make it a args, if you want to make it a class, you can do that. It's fine. Both way works. Honestly, there's no difference. Super. You just need to initialize it. So we're gonna initialize it real quick. Self. I don't think you need the self here actually. Oh, you do. Okay. And then we're gonna do self.run. Okay, and that's actually you don't need you don't need that. You can actually have self.run here, but you don't need it. You can just put self.run later on, like over here. And then basically what this class is gonna do is gonna be checking constantly, is gonna be running a loop to check if the recoil and everything is going on, is working properly, right? But we don't need to make it a class. I'm gonna leave it here just so I can actually make this class later on for you. We're just gonna make it a function, recoil loop. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is very simple. So let's do a while true loop, and here we want to actually put sleep of 5. Okay, and let's actually do something. Let's actually run this. Okay, and let's print I am on the loop just to show you guys something. So let's actually execute this now. So as you guys can see, I'm executing it and no interface open. On the bottom left, it's just saying I am on the loop over there. You guys can see it. And nothing has opened. That's because this while true, the application will only open, right? App.main loop will only execute once the while true loop is over. While true runs something forever until it breaks, right? So in this case, it's gonna keep on running this loop until app.main loop until it's gonna keep on running this loop until we break it. And then once it breaks, app.main loop is gonna execute. And because it never breaks, it just keeps on sleeping and do the same thing over and over again. It's never gonna execute. So that's the problem. So we need to actually put these inside of a thread, okay, so that it doesn't block our app.main loop. Okay. All right. So let's do that. Let me just stop the program real quick. Okay. So let's do that right now. So it's very simple for you to put inside of a thread. What you want to do is you just want to do recoil thread, and then you want to do thread target. And what target is, the function. You do not want to actually call the function, you just want to name it. You just want to pass a function in. And then over here just do recoil thread run or start, it doesn't matter. Run or start, both works. I'm gonna put run so it matches the other one. Okay, very good. So now let me take this off. Now we're gonna have both working at the same time. So let me actually show you guys. So while I was doing a quick research, you actually should do start and not actual run. You do not want to do run, you want to do start. So make sure instead of run, you guys actually type start here. And it's gonna work properly. So let me just show you guys real quick. There you go. I have my application running, and over here on the bottom left, you guys are gonna see that I am on the loop is showing. So both of them are working at the same time. Okay. Very good. And again, the print statement, I'm checking this box, but the print statement is not showing because we took it off. We took the print statement off, right? All right, nice. So let's just real quick do the next portion of it, which is gonna be the following. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna just real quick move our mouse. So let's do sleep one. Take this print statement out and let's do if. So what we need to do here is very simple now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a conditional to check if the recoilable is on. If the recoilable is on, then what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna move our mouse, right? So let's just do that just to try it out. And the next episode we're gonna continue it. So to move your mouse, you can do you can use different um libraries. We're gonna use a mouse library, I believe. That's what we said, right? For the first um few episodes, then we're gonna change it up, right? So let's use mouse. So I believe mouse. So let me see here. Mouse and then okay, move. There you go. So mouse don't move. No, I think it's move too. Hold on. I'm just gonna check. So move. Okay, I see move. Oh no, you have okay. So very good. So move, and then you just type in here the x and y. So how much you wanna move? So x, I wanna move 0x, and I wanna move 5y. Okay. Then we're gonna be moving. We're not gonna be moving to the horizontally at all. We are not gonna move horizontally. Okay. We are only gonna move vertically. All right. Now, before we actually run this application, you always wanna have a way to get out. Like in case a loop, because this is a loop and this is gonna keep on happening forever. So you always wanna have a way to break out of the loop, no matter what happens, right? And I'll explain to you guys why you always want to have a way to get out of the loop. So I'm gonna do over here that if I press Q, it's gonna exit. So I'm gonna do to exit is very simple. You type exit with code 0, which means you exited, yourself, right? So the reason why I said that is because right now, if we execute this code, your mouse is gonna be moving. Let's actually change the seconds to 3 seconds. Your mouse is gonna be moving every 3 seconds to position 0 and 5 on your screen, which is around your top left, and you don't want that. Okay, and of course this is just a quick error that I'm going to show you guys the problem with this error. So the thing is, we don't have a problem right now because if we press Q, it's going to exit. Okay, so let's actually run this. So again, I turned it on and there you go, my mouse is moving. You guys can notice every 3 seconds my mouse moves. So I'm moving to the center of the screen right now and it goes back over there. I'm moving over here, goes back over there. Okay, it moves. That's the problem. So now I'm stuck on this, right? So I need to press Q. If I press Q, and I keep on holding it for some time, right? Because it's running the loop every 3 seconds. It stops, it exits. So what you want to do is you actually just want to break. You don't want to stop it completely. You just want to break. What you want to do is very simple. You want to actually come over here. You want to put comma and you want to type false, because by default it's gonna move your mouse to that position, which is the absolute position, right? You don't want that. You want to move it relative to where you are right now. So you type false over here. You can also set a duration. So how long is it going to take your mouse to move to that position? So you can put 1 over here and it's going to take 1 second for your mouse to move um, that much, right? So let's actually execute this. So I'm going to check the box. So you guys can see my mouse is moving every 3 seconds. So it's very hard to notice it. I'm actually going to, there you go. So I'm actually going to disable it and I'm going to real quick modify this value. Let me just close the application real quick. I'm going to modify this value to 20. Actually, I'm going to leave it at 5, but I'm going to decrease the sleep to 0.9 or 0.6, just so it's a little faster. All right, I'm going to check and you guys are going to notice my mouse is going to start moving down. All right, I don't know if you guys can actually still notice it. Okay, yeah. Just press Q real quick to exit out, to break the loop. Okay, it's broken. I'm trying to show you guys. Let me just increase this value. Nice, there you go. Now you guys can notice it, right? Very good. So now it's moving my mouse relative. I can still move my mouse around, but it's moving my mouse relative to that position every 0.6 seconds. Okay, very good. All right. So that's why we're gonna end this video. This was a long video, and I completely understand that. Thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to check my website out. Okay, cryptoep.com. Don't forget to like this video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. All right, and thank you very much.